it didn't make him better. As far as, normal human is, it didn't make him better. It made him worse. He's blind. He has severe disabilities. That I wouldn't say that that's good. Okay? And so you stop and think about that, because God warned, add the strand, monkey around with it. I'm going to add the plagues. Look at this. Because this is at the heart of it. In Daniel chapter 2, this kingdom that Daniel said was going to come, this fourth kingdom, they're going to fuse, they're going to mingle themselves with the seed of men. They are the iron kingdom, and we are the clay. I want you to remember that. Humanity is clay. We're made out of dirt. We're made out of clay. Here is the iron kingdom, and they're going to mingle themselves, fuse themselves, like Glenn Beck's magazine said it would. They're going to fuse themselves with man's DNA, literally with his seed. Okay? How's that going to work? God said it wouldn't. Notice Daniel chapter 2, and he said, "Whereas thou sawest the iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men. But they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay." You know what he's saying here? And you just go read that. It doesn't work. Okay? It doesn't make man better. The only thing that does is the seed, the incorruptible seed of the Word of God. And so, and what we're talking about, I had pulled up some articles from the past. Here's one, July 2005. Human-animal chimeras. A chimera is an animal that has been, it's one of these ancient creatures that has different breeds into it. And this is really what we're dealing with. We're dealing with the idea that we're going to create a new human now that's going to be a sort of a mixed breed human. Homo novus. Ray Kurzweil talking about adding technology to that. We've got some things about that here in a little bit. This article here, Human-Animal Chimeras, talking about how they're mixing and working with stem cells and so on. Irving Wiseman of Stanford University and his colleagues pioneered these chimera experiments in 1988. When they created mice with fully human immune systems for the study of AIDS. Later, the Stanford group and Stem Cells, Inc., which Wiseman co-founded, also transplanted human cells into the brains of newborn mice as preliminary models for neural research. This was in 1988. And working with fetal sheep, Ismail Zanjani of the University of Nevada at Reno has created adult animals with human cells integrated throughout their body. No one knows what the consequences will be as the proportion of human cells in an animal increases. Wiseman and others, for example, have envisioned one day making a mouse with fully humanized brain tissue. The Lawyer Developmental Program and tiny size of this chimerical mouse fairly guarantee that its mental capacities would not differ greatly from those of normal mice. But what if human cells were instead put in the fetus of a chimpanzee? The birth of something less beastly could not be ruled out. Within the U.S., greater uniformity may emerge from general guidelines on stem cell use recommended in late April by the National Academy of Sciences. The NAS recommended that chimeras involving most animal species generally be permitted. It urged a ban on any use of human cells in other primates, however, as well as the introduction of animal cells into human blastocysts. It also warned against allowing human-animal chimeras to breed. Some human cells might have managed to infiltrate the animal's testes and ovaries. Breeding these animals could theoretically lead to the horrible, and in most cases assuredly fatal, result of a human embryo growing inside an animal mother. Think of the sickening world that we're living in right now. And God desperately tried to warn us, don't do it. It's like your mom. Your mom says, don't jump up and down on the bed. Okay? But Mom, this is fun. Come on, Mom. Okay? Come jump on the bed. Mom says, no, I don't want hip replacement surgery. Why is she telling the kids not to jump on the bed? The kids don't understand that. So if Mommy sits down and says, son, let me explain to you all the possibilities of things that could happen. It just goes right over the kid's head. And as soon as Mom's back's turned, they're jumping on the bed. And what's going to happen? And God's been telling us now for 6,000 years, quit jumping on the bed. And we're jumping on the bed. Genetically modified cows produce human milk. This is from April 2nd, 2011. The scientists have successfully introduced human genes into 300 dairy cows to produce milk with the same properties as human breast milk. Stop right here. Isn't it interesting? Isn't it interesting that the first animal cloned was a sheep? The shepherd, Jesus Christ, and his sheep, the church, versus the idol shepherd and his sheep. It's interesting. Isn't it interesting that the Philistines gave an offering of mice for the plague that had come upon them? And we're dealing with mice. Isn't it interesting the Bible is likened to milk? And we're dealing with milk. Cows that are giving human milk. Okay? We're messing with things that we shouldn't be, even in the law. And some people just refuse to believe that the Bible was anything but a book of ancient history, and it got it all messed up, and laws that were outdated that don't mean anything anymore. Au contraire, Leviticus 19:19, ye shall keep my statutes. Thou shalt not let thy cattle gender. You know what the word gender? It's the word genes. Okay? Genetics, DNA. Thou shalt not let thy cattle gender with a diverse kind. Thou shalt not sow thy field with mingled seed. Neither shall a garment of mingled of linen and woolen come upon thee. Linen is from vegetable matter. Wool is from animals. And here we are. We can mix vegetable DNA in with human beings, the algae, and so we can breathe underwater and be like underwater beasts, Leviathan. And then, we're mingling everything else with the lambs and the cattle, and the cattle are gendering now with a diverse kind. He said, you cannot sow your seed with mingled, your field with mingled seed. What's Monsanto in the business of doing? That's like, their cash crop is mingled seed. And God's been warning us for years. Don't do this. Please don't do this. Don't do this. I'm telling you, don't do this. And we're doing it. Now, I happened upon a verse this morning that I think is interesting. This verse here that says, thou shalt not let thy cattle gender with a diverse kind. Okay? Diverse. Look at Daniel 7, verse 19. Then I would know the truth of the fourth beast, which was what? Diverse from all the others. Notice verse 23, speaking of the kingdom. Thus he said, the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon the earth, which shall be what? Diverse from all kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down, and break it in pieces. As it was in the days of Noah, and in the days of Noah, or shortly thereafter, I'm not sure which yet, either before the flood or after the flood, was this, the human-animal chimera. We know that all flesh had corrupted its way on the earth before the flood, but Noah was perfect in his generations, in his genes, in his genetic. You know why? Noah kept the law. He kept the law. Did he obey the law? No, he didn't obey the law. I haven't obeyed the law, and you haven't obeyed the law. Nobody's obeyed the law except Jesus. But he kept it. He kept the law. He kept the book intact. His sons were not mingled seed kids. Okay? Here's the story. We might be Martians. This came out March 27th. The search for extraterrestrial genomes. Planning on looking at your family tree? If you go back far enough in time, you might discover relatives who used to live on Mars. While that notion may seem a little far-fetched at first, don't laugh. According to MIT News, many scientists consider that life on Earth may be descended from organisms that arrived here from the red planet by hitching a ride on meteorites. Do you know what meteorites are? I saw a star fall from heaven. That's what meteorites are.